Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Fans suspect Todd Chrisley never supported Trump, just wanted pardon. Fans are now suspecting that Todd Chrisley never truly supported Donald Trump, but just wanted the pardon. This could be true, as supporting Trump was truly the only way they would have gotten out of prison. However, a lot of things from the past are not lining up with what they say now. Fans have also noticed some changes in Savannah. There is a lot to unfold and uncover when it comes to this. Keep reading to find out more about this situation. The Chrisleys were in prison for tax evasion and fraud. They were locked away for over 2 years. However, their daughter, Savannah, was fighting for their freedom every step of the way. She was also supporting Trump loudly and proudly the entire time. Savannah was always repping the MAGA gear and posting about Trump. However, since her parents got released, she has not been doing this as much. Fans have noticed that her political posts have not been as often, and no one is complaining about that. However, it has led fans to question if she was doing all of that for the right reasons. Fans are now thinking that Todd Chrisley has never truly supported Trump, only when he could get a pardon. In 2015, he made a post saying he was conservative with his money, but liberal with his views. Now fans are all confused. Just for the pardon, if you notice, they have since thanked him a couple times, but Savannah has now stopped wearing her MAGA ugly-ass shit clothing and hats since they got home. I remember him making a comment on his podcast a long time ago that made it sound he was no fan of Trump. That doesn't necessarily mean he is not Republican. But his political views are the only reason he was pardoned for his crimes. He's no longer a criminal. No crimes to deal with after a full pardon. Yikes. Maybe Todd did not support Trump until it was convenient for him. It seems as though fans think that Todd could have been lying about his support for Trump just in order to get pardoned. Fans would not put this past them, as they knew this was the only way it was going to happen. Savannah has also not been wearing her MAGA gear or posting about Trump nearly as much as she used to. What do you think about this? Do you think they only supported him for the pardon? Sound off in the comments below. We would love to hear your thoughts on this situation. When Todd Chrisley walked out of prison earlier this year, there was a new debate brewing in the Chrisley fandom. Not about his reality show, his finances, or his family drama, but about his sudden political transformation. For years, Todd carefully curated a picture-perfect Southern image, faith-driven, family-first, and conservative. He often hinted at admiration for Donald Trump during the height of his legal battles, even going so far as to publicly praise the former president. But now that Todd has been released, fans are beginning to wonder, was Todd Chrisley ever truly a Trump supporter? Or was his supposed allegiance nothing more than a strategic ploy to secure a pardon? The theory has taken on a life of its own in fan forums, Twitter threads, and Reddit discussions. And given Todd's history of reinvention, manipulation, and carefully staged public appearances, the speculation feels almost too on brand. Todd's carefully timed admiration. When Todd and Julie Chrisley were sentenced to a combined 19 years in prison for bank fraud and tax evasion, many of their supporters expected silence, humility, or even repentance. Instead, Todd began leaning into political language, dropping compliments about Trump, and even floating the idea of a FaceTime conversation he allegedly had with the former president. The sudden admiration caught fans off guard. Funny how Todd never had a single political word to say when things were good, one fan commented online. The moment he's in trouble with the law, suddenly Trump is his hero. It wasn't just the timing, it was the way Todd framed his support. He didn't dive deep into policies, ideology, or traditional Republican talking points. Instead, his praise centered almost exclusively on Trump's ability to grant pardons, fight the system, and rise above scandal. To some, it sounded less like political alignment and more like a desperate cry for help. The Southern image versus the survival strategy. Todd Chrisley has always been about appearances. From his perfectly pressed designer clothes to the way he staged his family's reality TV show, Chrisley knows best. Every detail was carefully polished. The show leaned into his Southern charm while balancing his larger-than-life personality with moments of vulnerability. But beneath that surface, Todd was playing another game. His financial empire was built on smoke and mirrors, and fans now believe his political alignment may have been just another mask. On the outside, Todd fit the profile of a Trump supporter, wealthy, Southern, Christian, outspoken. But insiders now claim that behind closed doors, Todd was never particularly interested in politics. He thrived on business deals, publicity, and social climbing, not policy debates or rallies. Which begs the question, if Todd wasn't truly invested in politics, why suddenly cozy up to Trump during his darkest legal days? Pardon politics. History shows Todd wasn't alone in his strategy. During Trump's presidency, dozens of high-profile figures convicted of fraud, tax evasion, or corruption publicly aligned themselves with him, often in hopes of clemency. Some were successful. Todd's sudden wave of pro-Trump commentary seemed designed to place him in that category. Fans recall how Todd openly discussed the idea of receiving mercy from the White House, even though his case was tied up in appeals. He painted himself as a victim of overzealous prosecutors and a flawed justice system, a narrative that Trump himself often promoted. To many fans, it looked like Todd was testing the waters. He wasn't becoming a true believer in Trumpism. He was becoming a hopeful applicant for Trump's signature on a pardon. Cracks in the persona. Now that Todd is out of prison, the cracks in his persona are more visible than ever. His once glowing words about Trump have dimmed. Instead of praising the former president's policies or leadership, Todd has pivoted to talking about personal growth, religion, and family recovery. The omission has not gone unnoticed. He dropped Trump like a hot potato the second he realized the pardon wasn't coming, another fan wrote. That tells me everything I need to know. The shift has fueled the theory that Todd's loyalty was transactional from the start. He wasn't a supporter. He was a survivor trying to cut a deal with the only person who could potentially erase his prison sentence. Family reactions. Interestingly, Todd's children haven't been shy about dropping political breadcrumbs either. Savannah Chrisley has made subtle comments about government overreach, but she has never fully endorsed Trump. Kyle, Lindsay, and Chase have remained largely quiet on politics, preferring to focus on their own personal dramas. This silence only deepens the suspicion that the Chrisleys' brief brush with Trumpism was Todd's solo act. It wasn't a family value, it wasn't a belief system. It was a calculated maneuver by a man who had built his life on calculated maneuvers. Fans divided. Not all fans are convinced. Some still argue that Todd's admiration for Trump was genuine, rooted in shared values of resilience, family, and faith. They point out that Todd always had a taste for powerful personalities, and a belief that success can shield someone from public criticism, qualities he may have truly admired in Trump. But the louder voices remain skeptical. To them, Todd's political leanings were as real as his financial empire. Flashy on the outside, hollow underneath. He treated politics like he treated his business, something to manipulate for personal gain. One critic said bluntly. The bigger picture. The question of Todd's true feelings about Trump says more than just, was he a fan or not? It reflects the broader reality of celebrity politics in America. In an age where public figures often adopt affiliations for clout, survival, or redemption, fans are left to wonder who actually believes what they say. Todd Chrisley is the perfect case study. His entire brand was built on performing a role: the perfect father, the Southern gentleman, the savvy businessman. Why wouldn't he also perform as the loyal Trump supporter if it could shave years off his sentence?